Installing a ceiling fan with a light on it is a really nice upgrade. It's a great way to put some extra light in your room. This is my wife's home office, and we've been wanting to put a new ceiling fan up here with a light on it for a while now. So luckily I got the ceiling fan sent to me with a light on it to make a video about. The ceiling fan is huge. It's got these 5 wood blades on it. These things have a nice carving on them and a really nice finish. This thing also has a remote control with it, and so you can just go ahead and push a button there to turn your fan on. So you can see how nice that is. There's number 3, the medium one. I can feel that all the way back here. This thing puts out a lot of air. And then I'll show you full speed. This thing's really powerful. This fan is pretty big. It can be put in a much bigger space than in this room here. So yeah, you can really get a lot of air out of this. This will really cool off a big area. This room doesn't need it that much. I'm just going to put it back down to 3 there. So yeah, this is pretty nice. This remote has all kinds of stuff on it. It's got your forward, your reverse, your wave. It's got a timer on here, 1 hour, 2 hour, and 4 hours. And then you can just go ahead and turn everything off here. Or you can just turn your light off or just your fan off. There's the fan off. And there's the light off. So yeah, this thing is pretty nice. But this thing didn't install itself. Alright, let me go ahead and show you how I installed it. Alright, let's go ahead and take this old ceiling fan down and put the new one up there. This fan has a lip around the top here that you have to take off in order to unscrew this here. And then you just got to unscrew those screws on the side to take this thing off. Okay, now that I got the cover off, I just have to take those wires out of there. But make sure you have your electricity turned off before you start pulling the wires out of there, just to be safe. You don't want to take any chances. I got all the wires out here. So this white one here is the neutral wire, and then the red one and the black one, that's for the light and for the fan, and then this green one right here goes to the copper, and that's for the ground, and that's connected to the blue and the black lines on the ceiling fan, but it may be different on the new ceiling fan. Alright, so I'll just disconnect these and then we'll see what we got with the new fan. Alright, that was pretty easy. Once I got the wires disconnected, I was able just to lift the old ceiling fan out of here. Now I'm just going to go ahead and take off this bracket here, and I'll put the new one on. Alright, that was pretty easy. Just had a couple of screws going in here into the electrical box on the ceiling here. So I got that off. Here it is in comparison to the new one. The new one's a little beefier, and it's got a few more screws on it. Plus it's got the ground screwed on there. So you can't reuse your old one. You'll need to use the new one that comes with it. But this one looks pretty nice. Alright, let's go ahead and put it up there. So it looks like it came with some different hardware here that you can use. It also came with some electrical wire nuts, and then it looks like it's got some weights there to balance the fan. I'm just going to reuse the screws I had on there because I can just screw this into the electrical box to hold the mount on there. Now the directions say to attach the blades to the ceiling fan, and it's got a bag full of screws here and some washers here. Go ahead and put it all together. This part can be a little bit confusing, but you can see these screws right here. Looks like they have washers on them. So that's what I did, is I put the washers underneath the screws there. And then it says here there's different spaces in between the holes. So you see how this is wider? This is where you want to put the blade, and how this is shorter right here. So the screws won't fit in there. So you have to put the screws where the wider parts are there. So that's a little bit tricky, but once you get that figured out, once you get one in, then the rest will just go around really easy. Alright, I just worked my way along here in a circle, and I got one more left here, and I'll be done putting the blades on. Yeah, these blades are pretty nice. Yeah, these are nice solid wood blades, and they have a nice curve to them. So these are really well crafted, and they feel really smooth and have a nice finish on them. So yeah, these blades are pretty nice. Okay, here's how it looks with the blades on it here. And then it says to put this piece here to unscrew these 3 screws, and then put this piece on for the light right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, so this is how it should look with the light holder on here and with the 3 screws in there. It can be a little bit confusing when you look at this because it has 3 holes in here, and so you think that you would screw that in, but this actually has magnets on the back. So you just set this in here, and then the magnet holds it into place, and then you just connect your wire here. You just click that in there, and then your wires are connected for your light. So this just sits in here from a magnet. I don't even know if the screws would line up. Yeah, the screws wouldn't line up, so don't be fooled by the screw holes right there. Alright, there it is. Okay, so here's the directions here. That's the piece I screwed into the fan. There's the light, and there's the light cover. So it shows the directions here. Take those screws out, put them back in, and then attach your light. And then we're going to flip the fan over, and we're going to unscrew the top part here so that we can attach this part to it. So you want to unwrap all these wires here, and we're going to feed these up through the pole that goes to the ceiling mount. And then you unscrew these here so that they're loose. You don't want to completely take them out, you just want them loose so that you can fit the pipe in here. And then we're just going to run all this wire into the pipe. Once you got all those wires through, you can just push this thing down in here, and then you're going to want to line the hole up to put this pin back in. Just line that up there so you can see through there. This will be a little bit tricky. You got to push the pin through there past those wires. The wire has a protective sheath on it so that you don't damage it, but it is kind of hard to push through there. But with a little maneuvering, you can get it through there, and then you just push it out to the other side so that you can put the pin back in. Because this whole thing is what's holding the ceiling fan up, and so you don't want it rattling around and coming loose, so you got your safety pins in there. Alright, there it is. I got ahead of myself here. I need to put these 3 pieces on first, and then I can run the wires through that pipe there. So I got to take this back off and put these on. Okay, so I'm doing it over again, but this time I got the cover on here like this, and then I got the that pointy piece down there like that. Alright, now that I got the pin in here, I can put the safety pin back in, and then I can tighten up these safety screws. Alright, we got that in there. And then I can just tighten up these safety screws, and then I'll be able to hang the ceiling fan. Okay, so I looked at the directions here, and it shows that I hang the ceiling fan there. And then after that, then we get out the receiver, and then we connect the wires to it. So I'm back on track here following the directions. Okay, I got the new bracket screwed up on there. Okay, I got it up on there, just hanging on the bracket there. There's all my house wires on the top here, and then there's all the wires that go to the receiver. I'm going to go ahead, we got our black wire here. I'll connect that to the black wire on the fan, that's the line in. And then I got my white wire here, which is my neutral wire. I'll connect that to the fan. And then I'll cap off the red wire, and then I'll connect this copper one to the ground green one down here. Or yellow one, greenish yellow. That's what we got on here. This is our AC in, that's our neutral wire in. And then we have our black wire here, which is the ACL. So that'll be our load, that'll be our power to the switch or to the light. And then we got all these other colors here. We'll just connect them to the corresponding colors. Your wiring may be different, but for us here, we need the black wire connected to the switch to run electricity to this. So I got the black wire connected to the black wire here, and the white wire connected to the white wire. Alright, so I got all this wrapped up here. Alright, I'm going to tuck all this stuff up in here into the electrical box, and then I'll put the receiver up in here and close everything up. One thing here that can be a little bit tricky is you want to make sure these screws are down low enough that you can put this cap on here. That way you'll be able to fit those screws up in here. They'll be down low enough that you can fit this on here. And then you can always tighten them up a little bit if you want to, but just want to make sure you have enough space there to get those in there. You also have to be careful not to get it too tight because you don't want to squish any of those wires. You can see the antenna poking out up there. And then you put this cover down here and it covers up your fan area. It says the remote here uses 1.5 volt battery. Not sure what that is. Those are AAA batteries. I got it mounted over here on the wall next to the light switch. The reason I had to connect the black wires because this is where my power is. So that turns the power to the fan. So I can just leave that on. Then I can use the remote here to turn it off. Now I got my light off. Alright, I'm just testing it out here and I got a little bit of a wobble. So if you have a wobble, it says check and make sure it's firmly secured. and it looks like it's not quite tight enough there, so I need to tighten that up. Okay, I ended up taking the bracket off and I added some drywall anchors there to give it a little more strength. Alright, I went back in here, I put the washers on here, put the drywall anchors in, and I also put washers on those screws. So now I got a lot more snug here, a lot snugger, a lot tighter anyways, a lot tighter mount, so I shouldn't have any problems with the rattling. And this would also be a good time to loosen your screws up here so that that cover will fit on here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and try again and we'll see how it does this time. Okay, I got it rewired. I still connected my black to my black and my white to my white. And then I capped off the red wire there and I put my copper wire to the green and yellow wire there. I wrapped that around the back up into the electrical box, and I'll put these other wires up in there. And then we'll close this up and we'll test it again. Those wires all have to be tucked up into the electrical box, and then I can slide this receiver in there. It's a tight fit, but once you get it to clear those wires there, then it'll fit up in there. And then I got this on nice and snug this time, so it should all work. Alright, there it is. I got it up there, and I got the wobble out of it. I'm on number 3 there. And then I noticed that if I go up to 4, it seems fine. And if I go up to 5, then I start to notice a tiny bit of a wobble. And then if I go to 6, there's a slight wobble in it. I put a couple of the weights on there. I had a slight wobble, so I put the weights on here. I stuck the weights to the tip. I just did one at a time. And I just kind of went around the fan and then tested it out until I didn't have a wobble. And then once I got to the right spot, I put another one on here to cut down on the wobble. So you could put weights on here if you need to balance out the fan too. But the main thing you need to do is to connect this to the ceiling really well, like I did with all those screws in there. And then that way you won't have the problem with the wobble like I did. So there you go. And there the fan goes.